Awesome. So
Mayor Mays is absent this evening. Council President Rosner.
here.
Counselor Garland.
Here.
Counselor Browse.
Here.
Counselor Young.
Here.
Counselor Scott.
Here.
Counselor Giles.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. And next item is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We have an agenda we can work with tonight. So the next item is the consent agenda. We have two items on the consent agenda tonight. Item A is approval of the April 19th, 2022 City Council meeting minutes. And item B is Resolution 2022-023, authorizing the city manager to sign the Public Library Network Services and Funding Intergovernmental Agency with Washington County on behalf of Washington County Cooperative Library Services. Boy, that's a mouthful.
Move consent. Second.
Great, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And the consent agenda is approved. So now we're going to move into citizen comments tonight. I think, Sylvia, do we have some comments? Awesome. This is awesome. Normally we get 0 citizen comments, so I'm glad everyone's here tonight. Thank you very much for coming. So the way we do this is it's this chance for everyone to present to council, and I think we're doing 4 minutes now. That's correct, for each person. And so we will go ahead and call you up. When you come to the stand, just state your name, or the stand, actually, the table. Make sure that little green light's on. There's a button there so we can hear you. And for those that are listening out there in the hybrid world, they can hear you as well. But just state your name and your address and go ahead and give your statement. If we're quiet up here, that's just how we operate these, so the comments don't get too long and drawn out. It's not a Q&A, but I do encourage you to reach out to us individually after the meeting if you have questions, you want to talk to us. I think it's fair in saying everyone here is more than open to talk to anyone one-on-one or in small groups, so feel free to reach out and reach out to all of us. So the first one I have tonight is Dave Sweeney. Great. How you doing, Dave?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Dave Sweeney, 24011 Southwest Red Fern Drive. And I'm going to take this off. I've got some heart issues, but you can hear me better if I don't have it on. Well, Mayor's not here. So, City Council members, my citizen comment for tonight concerns the trees at the end of Red Fern Drive, the flagpole section of the Cedar Creek Gardens. The developer, Westwood Homes LLC, wants to squeeze 2 houses into the flagpole section. 2 houses. Lots 41 and 42. I'm sorry, lots 40 and 41. They are approximately 135 majestic old-growth Doug fir and cedar trees growing in that flagpole section. And in order to build those 2 houses, the developer will cut down 115 of the 135 trees there, 85%, all for the sake of 2 houses. The city has the authority under Municipal Code 16.142.070 to, quote, determine that certain trees or woodlands may be required to be retained. Section D4E of that tree code states, along with a number of other reasons, that certain trees otherwise merit retention because of 4 categories here. Unusual size. The trees at the end of Red Fern are over 100 feet tall, most of them. Tree stand. Second, that approximately acre of thin flagpole section, there are a substantial number of old-growth trees. Most of the trees are over 100 years old. It started growing over a century ago. Historic Association, type 3. Many of those trees started growing before the beginning of the Civil War, 1861. Some of the trees started growing before the Great Emigration on the Oregon Trail, 1843. And a few of those trees started growing when Andrew Jackson was in his 2nd term as president, 1836. 4th category, habitat and wildlife preservation considerations. Deer are regularly seen in those trees. Those trees host numerous bird species, and last October, I noticed a beehive about 20 feet up in one of the Doug firs that is slated to be cut down. In the Sherwood 2040 Comprehensive Plan, it states this about open space, quote, access to nature is one of the key elements in the unique quality of life in Sherwood, close quote. In the Sherwood Parks and Recreation Master Plan, it states this about a healthy and valued ecosystem. Quote, in 2040, Sherwood is a leader as a steward of its natural environment. Vegetative corridors are protected and weave through the city, providing habitat, safe passage for wildlife, clean water and air, and a place for people to connect with nature. The city actively preserves mature trees and natural areas, closed quote. Finally, make this open space of that flagpole section part of the Sherwood Trail system by extending the Arbor Lane Trail, the Arbor Lane Community Trail, through the flagpole section all the way to Brookman Road. For the past 25 years, kids from the neighborhood and beyond have been playing in those woods. I know, I've lived there for 21 years. Building forts, riding bikes, playing in the forest, and enjoying the experience of nature. If you allow those trees to be cut down, you'll be destroying a natural area that has existed and been enjoyed by Sherwood residents for more than 2 decades. Please, Mr. Mayor and City Council members, protect and preserve those trees. They are a unique, historic, and beautiful part of our community and well worth preserving. And finally, this is a National Geographic special issue. I got it yesterday at the bookstore, and it says, "Saving forests. They're the key to protecting the planet. Now they need our help. Please protect and save our trees." Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dave. So our next is Neil Shannon. I saw you earlier. There you are. Welcome, Neil.
Thank you. Neil Shannon, 23997 Southwest Redfern Drive. Council President Rosner and members of the City Council, I appear before you this evening to submit a petition signed by more than 200 citizens and friends of Sherwood. We're passing out the cover sheet to that petition. I will be providing all of the signature sheets, many of whom are standing before you tonight. This petition asks you to do your part in saving a strip of forested land along the southern border of our city behind Southwest Shady Grove Drive between Southwest Redfern Drive and Brookman Road. The area is under threat as it may soon be included in an application for subdivision requesting that over 100 trees be cut down to make room for 2 houses. The property in question, part of more than 40 single-family dwellings being proposed for the Cedar Creek Gardens subdivision, is less than 60 feet wide and over 750 feet long. While we are not objecting to the proposed layout of the primary area of the subdivision, these 2 dwellings proposed behind Shady Grove Drive are isolated from the remainder of the development and require a private driveway connecting to Brookman Road, a major arterial. I find it ironic that we're discussing the destruction of so much old-growth forest while we are celebrating the international recognition of both Earth Day and Arbor Day. Less than a month ago, this council, with great pride and fanfare, proclaimed their membership of Tree City USA from 2005 and called upon all citizens of Sherwood to, and I quote, celebrate Arbor Day to support the efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. It's time to answer that call. There is not enough time for me to read all of the reasoning behind the petition. I do hope you take the time to read the full text, but it clearly outlines how the objective meets the core values of the City of Sherwood mission statement and the vision, goals, objectives of the comprehensive plan, including governance and growth management, attractive and obtainable housing, and healthy and valued ecosystems. I find it interesting that despite the lack of civic gatherings and one of the wettest Aprils on record, gathering these signatures was easy. In my experience, over 80% of the people approached were willing to sign the petition with comments such as, "We need to save the forest for the future, and Sherwood is seeing too much growth." If we can save this strip of land, what are we going to do with it? The best suggestion I have heard is the idea to create a pedestrian trail connecting Redfern Drive to Brookman Road. This would be the first pedestrian connection between the new developments in the Brookman Road concept area and Sherwood proper. It would divert pedestrians and bicycle traffic off of the major arterials of Brookman Road and Ladd Hill, moving them onto the neighborhood streets and the trails on Redfern Drive and behind Archer Glen School. Additionally, there are future opportunities for forest park development. You, as stewards of our city, have been provided the tools necessary to accomplish this task at hand. To quote the summary of this petition, be it known by our signatures attached on the following pages that we, the citizens and friends of Sherwood, understand the value of the natural resources and urge the council to act with mutual cooperation of the parties involved or by ordinance to protect the unique and significant forest area described above. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it. And then our third is, and I'm trying to read this, Ian Frost. Did I get that right? That's awesome.
Promise to not be as eloquent and polished as Dave. I didn't spend most of my life on TV, so that doesn't help. Ian Frost, I live at 23878 Southwest Shady Grove Drive. So what the two gentlemen before me were talking about is like right in my backyard. I guess just to start, and kind of see who lives in the neighborhood that's here. Maybe just raise your hand, just so you guys can kind of see
great.
what the impact is and how important this is to our neighborhood. So about me, like I lived in Sherwood for 4 years, lifelong Oregonian, grew up in Corvallis. We lived in this house for about 1.5 years. I'm also a HOA board member, so if that holds any weight. Overall, I feel that the non-contiguous houses, those two houses that those guys discussed, are just kind of unnecessary to the whole development. And there's a lot of issues. You know, I support saving the trees that are there, like, you know, and all that, the natural habitat. I mean, just to give you an idea, just, you know, I personally have noticed there's a lot more wildlife, specifically deer, that you can see from back there. I have an 8 and a 4-year-old, 2 daughters. They love it, but it's also kind of sad that they're being driven out by a lot of the existing development that's going on. You know, the other parts of the application that I guess is a part of the process you'll eventually maybe get is that this driveway to get these two houses, they're asking the county to change the right-of-way on Brookman because it's going to meet at a 90-degree angle where Brookman turns. So it's kind of not that safe. There's been an accident back there probably 6 months ago. It's early morning, so I can only imagine what that's like. There's also a disagreement about the width of the strip of land that is in question. There are some surveys that say it's closer to 50 feet. There are some that say it's closer to 60. If it's closer to 50, it's not wide enough with city ordinances for them to build anything. If it's 60, it is. Now, obviously, the developer has found a surveyor that says it's 60, but there are plenty of maps that just show different width. So for those reasons, also, you know, I just would encourage the city to adopt this strip of land with the trail system that the two gentlemen before me referenced. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ian. And thank you, everybody, who showed up tonight for this great subject. Is there anyone else that would like to give public comment before we close out this part of the meeting? Last chance? No? Great. Well, again, thank you for the comments. It does mean a lot to us to have you guys come in and talk to us like this. And again, feel free to reach out individually or in small groups. We can't, under public meeting law, not more than 3 of us can get together without having a public meeting, but more than happy to talk more about this. And then, Josh, do you mind, I would like to have a better understanding of these ordinances and what kind of efficacy we can have on this particular issue. If you could write something up for the council, I'd appreciate that.
Sure, I'll do that.
Yeah, thank you.
A question, just because this project hasn't come our way, and maybe Julia knows, is this in your guys' realm right now?
Yes, it's currently an application to the planning department. It's not yet complete. It will actually go to the planning commission, and then my understanding is, not the planning commission, the hearings officer with an appeal to the Planning Commission. So it may never actually come to you. That said, I guess the issues that were raised, certainly I would encourage those issues to be raised during the public comment period, so that staff and the hearings officer can evaluate that.
And we wouldn't, since it's not complete yet, wouldn't even have an estimate of when that hearing would take place, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. I mean,
All right.
generally, once it's complete, it's usually scheduled for a hearing, usually about 6 weeks. 4 to 8 weeks is kind of the time frame.
And there's a public comment period for the hearings officer?
Yes,
as well?
we will send notice to property owners within 1,000 feet of the subject of the property. Post notice on site and post notice in our 5, maybe it's 4 locations now around town, as well as on our website of the meeting date. And then people can submit comments prior to the meeting or at the hearing.
Okay. So what I would encourage is, while we're getting answers back from our city attorney on anything, was to be watching out for those as well, to continue doing your public comments to those hearings as well, so.
Yeah, and Julie, I saw you furiously taking notes, as mostly when I think Ian was up here talking. But can you look into some of those concerns? Because if it is requiring a right-of-way change on Brookman.
Yes, absolutely, we can. I mean,
and
but
also
that's what's looked
the
at
surveys,
during.
the
that's-
surveys too.
Yeah, absolutely, we will and we can. That is what happens during the staff review and the hearing. That said, I strongly encourage everybody that spoke or has thoughts about this to submit written comments so that they make sure that that's in the record and don't just, I mean, we will certainly be looking at that, but they should also be submitting those comments to the hearings officer and planning staff as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Josh. Oh, would you like to give public comment?
You have to come up to the microphone.
Yeah, come on.
And tell us your name.
Robert Montgomery. I'm 24027 Redfern. I'm the last house on Redfern, so a lot like Mr. Ian Frost. This is essentially in my, I guess it wouldn't be my backyard, it would be my side yard. But just a quick question: is the application for the development, that process, and all the information provided, is that all public record? Do we have access to that?
It is, and once it is complete, that is when we put it up on the website. It's not currently on the website. I can talk to staff and see if there's something that we could put up sooner, but generally we don't put it up on the website until it's complete because it's subject to change. I'm sorry, I'm answering the question and I wasn't directed to do so.
I would have asked you to answer anyway.
So yes, once it's complete, then the materials are up on the website. That said, it's in, people could certainly come and look at it if they want it to.
Awesome. Thank you. Just last call. Anyone else want to give? We want to.
Bill?
Yeah.
Philip Wagner at 23731 Southwest Redfern Drive. So my question is, so the application, a lot of money and time goes on to this process to get the application, but there's no comment yet for us to interject. Isn't this a comment here, an open record, as we're talking to you guys right now? So obviously we're an open record.
These are public comments that you're making now, but the hearings officer who's deciding on the application can only consider comments that are submitted as part of the public comment and hearing process for that decision. So anything that you're saying tonight can't be taken into consideration for that decision-making process. You have to make them during that decision-making process.
So when that's posted, when we post that after everything's done, then how long do we have, my question, to make comments?
You were saying it's typically 4 to 8 weeks.
So our notice requirement is 20 days. I'm looking at Joy to confirm, 20 days before the hearing. So that's when we would mail notice and post notice and those types of things. So you will know 20 days before the hearing, and you can provide comments anytime up to the hearing.
But it will be available on the website before that.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I had a question about.
Thank you very much. All right. Again, thank you everyone for. So if you want, no one's going to be offended if you want to get up and leave for the rest of the meeting here, but thank you.
But we are going to our next one is getting to say thank you to a youth volunteer. So that might, if you want to stay for 5 more minutes.
That's true. There you go. There you go. Awesome. All right, so we'll close out public comment at this time. We'll move on to the next item, which is a presentation, recognition of Teen Lab graduate. Jamie. Sure.
I wrote my nose because speaking in front of adults is scary. Okay, City Council and staff, thank you so much for allowing me to shine the spotlight on this very special person here. My name is Jamie Thorson. I am the lead youth services librarian at Sherwood Public Library. This woman before you is a shining star. She is a reader, she attends library programs, but most importantly, she is an exceptional library volunteer through a teen volunteer club that I run called Teen Lab. This program gives teens the opportunities to see what librarians do in the library and how we work to create a diverse and equitable experience for our community, and we hope provide a meaningful experience to the volunteer. What makes Audrey extra special is she has been with Teen Lab since the day it started. So she's extra special. Over the 6 years she has been involved with the club, and with the help of other members, she has helped assemble a cardboard rocket ship, if you remember that, place labels on hundreds of book club books, create displays, comb through thousands of picture books and juvenile nonfiction to help us condition weed. She has inventoried many games in our game collection, judged the summer reading teen art contest, assembled countless take and make craft kits for kids, and this is just a fraction of what her time has been spent with us. I'm gonna be strong. Just give me a second. I'm gonna do it. Audrey is dedicated, she's kind, she's a natural leader. She's also funny and fun to be with. She's graduating this year and she's moving on to the next chapter of her life, college. I want to publicly thank you for giving us over 160 hours of volunteer time to the library. Even during the pandemic, even while holding a part-time job, you have helped make Teen Lab what it is today. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Audrey. Audrey, we could ask you questions now.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So off to college.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Proud dad.
Oh, no problem.
Of course.
So, am I to understand you're going to Oregon, University of Oregon?
Yes.
Yes.
I am.
Congratulations on that. Great. What's your major? What are you going to study?
I'm planning to major in biology.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. STEM career. That's awesome.
So out of all the things,
Oh, yes.
out of all the areas that you could have chosen to volunteer in, why did you choose the library?
So I became involved with library programs in 6th grade when I joined the Fiction Friends book club that Jamie ran. And the youngest that you can be to join Teen Lab is 7th grade. And so when I was a 6th grader in book club, Jamie kept saying, okay, when you're in 7th grade, come join my volunteer group. And so the moment I turned 13, I joined Teen Lab, and I've just been here ever since because I love the library.
Awesome. And what's been your most enjoyable experience?
I think I've dragged a lot of friends into meetings, and I've made a lot of friends through the Teen Lab meetings, and it's a fun little group of people that I always look forward to coming back to at the start of the school year, since we're a seasonal program that doesn't run over summer. So I think the friends that we get to make through the program is really special.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, that's really awesome. I know our library wouldn't function without our volunteers, and I think that's one of our biggest volunteer areas in the city. So thank you so much, and good luck at Go Ducks.
Yeah, thank you very much for your service. Hopefully, your library skills go beyond knowledge of the Dewey Decimal System, and you're able to apply that in the rest of your education and career. That's just fantastic. Thank you so much for volunteering.
And Jamie, thank you for your energy, enthusiasm, and devotion to the teen program and sharing that with us tonight.
Councilor Garland, do you want to add on to this?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one thing I want to say is kind of piggyback on what Renee said, is I hope that we all find something that we all love to do as much as Jamie loves the library. I mean, I know that Jamie is such a dedicated person in the library, and to what Councilor Young said as well. You know, just thank you to all of our volunteers in the library. I love the library. I mean, just the other day, one of the celebrities that I follow on social media recommended a graphic novel that he said was great, and I went onto the library website, and within 2 days it was at our library, and I was able to read it. It was just like, what a great world we live in, and what a great library system we have. So just thank you, everybody, and best of luck. Go Ducks. I'm not a duck, but I'll jump aboard with that as well. And yeah, thank you so much for bringing your experience, and I know that you've added to our library and you made it, great with just your experiences and everything you've done. So thank you so much for that.
Awesome. Thank you, Audrey, and thanks for making the library cool with all your friends, and because our library is cool. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Doug.
Yeah, it's incredibly rare and impressive for anyone to dedicate the amount of years of service or volunteering to any cause, that you have done so consistently over this long period of time. And it's even more impressive for someone, doing that in the formative, years of their lives as a teenager when there's so many things going on and so many, things that come and go. And it's just like, it's incredibly impressive, and it's something that a lot of adults can learn from. So just applaud your dedication to the cause, and thank you for everything you've done, and wish you the best of luck. And again, go Ducks.
All right,
Awesome.
we're gonna say thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. Yes. Now's you can feel free to leave.
That was worth hanging out for, though.
Yes. Thank you. All right. So now we're on to our public hearing. Sylvia, you want to?
The Sherwood City Council will hold a public hearing this evening to receive testimony on ordinance 2022-004, amending sections of the Sherwood Zoning and Community Development Code for new housing choices to comply with House Bill 2001. The public hearing this evening will be conducted as follows. Staff will present a staff report. Questions, if any, by the City Council for staff. We will then receive written testimony. We will then open the public hearing for testimony, and the time will be limited to 4 minutes per person. Any interested person may present testimony. We will then close the public hearing. No other comments will be heard from the public. Final comments by staff. Questions of staff, if any, by the council, followed by council discussion. This is the second hearing before the City Council on this item. A decision may be made by the council at the close of this hearing, or the matter may be continued to a time and date certain. If the matter is continued to a date certain, this is the only notice of that date you will receive. If you wish to speak, please fill out a request to speak form and submit it to the city recorder. Prior to the time of the public hearing is open for testimony. The council president will recognize people who wish to speak, and any comments should be addressed through the council president. When you come forward, please state your name and place of residence for the record, as this hearing will be recorded.
Thank you, Sylvia. And so I guess we'll turn it over to you, Joy.
Great. Good evening, Council President Rosner and councilors. On April 19th, City Council held its first public hearing on the proposed new housing choices ordinance. Staff provided a verbal staff report and answered questions on the proposed amendments, and no public testimony was received. A second hearing was previously scheduled for tonight. The mayor stated that he could not be able to attend in the hearing at this hearing, and requested that it be continued to May 17th. Staff is therefore recommending that council open the second hearing as previously scheduled tonight, take public testimony, if any, is offered, and then continue the hearing to May 17th. Additionally, the mayor has submitted written questions to staff prior to the first hearing that required research and submitted further questions after the hearing also. Staff is preparing a memorandum and answering each of these questions, as well as other questions that came up during the first hearing, and will provide the memorandum to council in advance of the May 17th meeting date. If council has additional questions on the proposed amendments, please submit them to me no later than this Friday so they can also be addressed in the memorandum. That actually concludes my staff report and can answer any questions you may have, and no formal written testimony has been received as of tonight.
Are there any questions for Joy? I do have one question. It's more procedural. Is there any reason we couldn't push it out to a later date? And the reason I'm going to suggest that is there's a lot of questions that were asked, and I think it's going to take some time to kind of digest, and at least for myself, in understanding those questions. I was actually going to suggest that maybe we have another work session to go over everything before we come back for a continued public hearing.
Is there another deadline that we're under?
So House Bill 2001 requires the local jurisdiction to have adopted ordinance by June 30th of this year.
So that just means adopted and effective, right, by June 30th?
Right,
So
right.
that means if you postpone it more than 2 weeks and you go to a regular scheduled council meeting, you would have to adopt it on an emergency basis with unanimous approval to shorten that 30-day time period in order to have an effective date of June 30th. That can be done, but that would be kind of the situation you're getting yourself in. And if you didn't get that emergency approval to get it effective faster, then you'd have a window of time between June 30th and whenever it's effective where the model code would apply in the city.
Well, could we continue it till May 17th? If there's still lingering questions, it can be continued again.
Yes.
So why don't we continue it to the date we planned on, May 17th, get all the answers? I hate to push up against that emergency thing if we
So-
don't have to.
Could you remind us what the rules are for declaring an emergency?
Unanimous approval by city council.
So it has to be unanimous. That's it.
But we've already had one hearing, so this would be the second one. What do we vote?
I think what,
doesn't have to be
I think what
unanimous.
Josh is referring to is normally a new ordinance takes effect in 30 days. To
Oh,
have it take
gotcha.
effect sooner,
So
we
yeah,
would
if it
have to
wasn't
declare
till
an emergency.
I'm following you. I was thinking
June
vote.
7th would be, yeah.
Gotcha.
So I kind of think we should continue it to May 17th. Mull through the answers as soon as we can get the responses back so that we all have time to.
And if we feel like we need to have a discussion, we can have a work session before the hearing.
I mean, really, the pressure's on staff to get the questions answered, so
Right.
as long as you all feel like you have enough time.
Yes, we do definitely have enough time, but we wanted to open up any additional questions you may have. We've only heard from the mayor so far.
And I,
We stick with the continuance to May 17th, we get the answers back, and we have a work session before our regular session on the 17th.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep, that works. I think that meets our, that addresses my concern, so that's perfect.
Got that,
Awesome.
K2?
Council President Rosner, are you going to open the public hearing?
Yeah, I was going to do that now. So thank you, Joy, and we'll now open it up for the public hearing portion of this. Do we have, Sylvie, do we have anything? No. And I'm looking out at the crowd, unless Dave Sweeney wants to come up here and talk about it.
No.
I think you're.
I'm just here to meet you guys afterwards.
Okay, great. I think everyone else in the room is either a contractor or staff, so I don't think we have, it is, do we have anybody online, Brad? All right, well, we will close the public hearing portion of this and move forward. So do we need to do anything to continue this officially?
We need a motion to continue to May 17th.
I move that we continue to May 17th.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to, and a second to continue this to a date certain, May 17th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that closes out our public hearing. Thank you, Sylvia, for the assist, and thank you, Josh, for making sure we're sticking to the rules. I appreciate that. All right, so we will move forward in our agenda tonight. And the next item is City Manager Report.
Thank you, Council President. I want to extend my time to a couple of different staff members, and I will start with Police Chief Hanlon to talk about Coffee with the Mandalorian.
Coffee with the Force.
Of course, get it right.
I mentioned it last meeting, but this Saturday, the 7th, we're doing Coffee with the Force at the parking lot in Dutch Brothers. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I just got an updated list on who will be attending, aside from us. On the Star Wars side, we have 5 Mandalorians, Darth Vader, Emperor, Stormtrooper, Jawa, and a clone trooper. I don't know what a clone trooper is, but they're coming. I don't know what a clone trooper is.
We'll talk later.
Okay. But they're all going to be there in attendance. So if you can make it out there, we'll be there. And hopefully the weather holds. I think we're going to have some tents as well. So we'll be able to stay covered.
Awesome.
And next, and I might need to go grab him out of the cave, I'd like to have Brad come out and talk about the Hello World with Sherwood Broadband.
Hey, counselors. Hopefully you all saw you got a mailer in the mail this week.
It was so
kind of exciting news. We got to announce the project that we've been, you guys have all approved and worked so hard on. So yeah, so we got a letter kind of introducing the project, a little bit of frequently asked questions about the construction. We've got some follow-on materials that we're going to be mailing out as we get closer into neighborhoods. There has been, we've inundated with requests since the mailer's gone out, as you can imagine. We already were getting inundated up into with the folks seeing the crews out in Sunset. So I think by my last count, we had 90 requests for service in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So.
Awesome.
And we're talking about service for what now, just in case the YouTube didn't catch?
Yes, so service for in random spots around Sherwood, people asking for Sherwood broadband service. So we're compiling a list of people that are interested, and we will hit them up first thing when we get in their neighborhoods. So I don't think everybody's been pretty positive about it so far. So we're working on some marketing campaigns next to kind of get people to get some pre-sign-ups done, so we can kind of prioritize some neighborhoods, and working on some signage for our construction crews to use so people understand what's going on in the neighborhoods. Yeah. Any questions from me on
Well, there were all kinds of trucks in my neighborhood last week and out there guiding traffic and stopping us at Sunset. We couldn't cross for a bit, and trucks all over, but yeah, they're working hard.
So, as you guys know, we've got a contractor that's going to do the area north of 99W. That contract was signed, I heard, so they should be getting spun up here pretty soon too. So you'll see a combination of our crews and some contract crews out working.
That's great. So thank you, Red. I got the flyer and super excited, and I've got lots of questions from my neighbors. Everyone, I think we have a lot of people that want to sign up. So let's get the fiber in the ground. This is awesome.
Do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks, Brad. Keith,
With
do you have
that,
anything
Council
else?
President, I have nothing else. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Excuse me. Any questions for Keith, our city manager?
No, he's always pretty quiet during these updates. He gives them to everybody else.
Forgot one. I'm sorry, one more event. We have this shred event as well at the same time as our Coffee with a Force. So at the PD, if you have anything that you need shredded, swing by there. I know we'll have a couple people out there to take your stuff. That's from 9 to 1 as well.
Is there a donation to go with that? Are they collecting food?
I think it's food.
Canned
Cans.
food, yeah.
Yes.
Will it be shredded with a lightsaber?
Possibly.
Okay.
I'm going to bring a clone trooper.
Okay. They don't use lightsabers.
We're going to quiz you on that later. Awesome. Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Ty. And for those listening out there that may not know, that was Ty Hanlon, our Chief of Police. There we go. Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions for Keith? Great, we'll go on to council announcements. Who would like to go first?
I'll go.
Awesome.
I was a bad counselor, though. I forgot to bring my notes from the library advisory meeting. But there's a lot going on. We do have this beautiful newsletter that is sent out by our library manager, Adrian. I do want to share that Sean's wife, Madeline, was the winner, or the second place winner of the 9th annual 6-word contest. That's pretty cool. There were some pretty talented people out there. If you haven't seen the list of winners, they're on the newsletter. But some of the kids, the young people that submitted, their stories were pretty remarkable, but also very thought-provoking. I was pretty stunned by some of it. A lot going on at the library. Maid Marian coronation's coming up, free comic book day, lots of workshops for adults. The citizenship class is going on through June 9th. Intro to Microsoft Word, adult book discussion, intro to Microsoft Word again, beginners Chinese calligraphy. And then there's a lot for the youth as well, family story time, paperback pals, book buddies, and then our tweens and teens, the teen book club, fiction friends, and so on. So lots of activity going on at the library, thanks to the staff who are putting that on. The senior advisory board will meet next week. What else? Attended Trashpalooza. Tammy and her team did a great job putting that on. Lots of people out cleaning the streets. I was fortunate. I had the downtown corridor. Not much trash there. But it was a great event attended by many. And let's see, went to the WEA event and listened to the 2 candidates running for the county commissioner. Both did a great job of responding to questions. And I think that's my update for today. Oh, don't forget, June 24th is the Sherwood Police Foundation Gala to raise funds to help support our men and women in blue. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Renee. I'm going to pick this time. Taylor.
Okay. I had, the only update from the Planning Commission was they were reviewing the application for the storage center that is looking to have an internal building built up, but it actually won't affect sightlines much going by, as you know, that one behind the Langer area. So that was discussed in great detail, and it was continued. We have 2 new members of the Planning Commission, so thank you for your service. And we will look forward to getting to know you more when we're all in person. Again, we're still a little bit hybrid on that. So I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Taylor. I'm going to flip over here. Sean.
Yeah, just a couple brief updates. Met since our last meeting with the Alignment Intake Facility Board, which is it's a coalition of local cities and water providers who help to ensure that Sherwood, as well as others in the region, have safe water, access to water now and into the future. So it's a very important board. One of the things that they're really working on is the intake facility to ensure that it is in good shape in the event of a Cascadia earthquake event. So they're working on shoring that up with some reinforcements to that facility within the Willamette to ensure that should there be a major earthquake, that our access to clean drinkable water and usable water won't be disrupted. So work is going really well on that project. We're actually on schedule, on budget, which is always great to hear as project manager. So I think the only other thing I have to note is moving forward is a week from tomorrow, May 11th, is the City of Sherwood night at the Hillsborough Hops baseball game. They have had several different themed games recently. Pinkerton was featured recently, but there's a game on City of Sherwood night. So game starts at 6:05 p.m. Gates opening at 5 o'clock p.m. And we'd love to see a lot of people out there celebrating Sherwood. So that's all I have.
And don't forget that you're going to be throwing the first pitch.
I am going to be throwing up the first pitch. So I have to warm up the arm a little bit, make sure I can throw a ball 6 feet 6 inches without making a fool of myself.
I was going to say, there's a theory out there that as an elected, you never want to do that because you don't want that video on Facebook.
There's not a lot of upside and a lot of downside. Yeah.
Yes.
YouTube is filled with bad first pitches, so I'm going to hopefully have some nice weather here in the next few days to get out and throw a couple just to warm up the old arm.
And now you know why I didn't volunteer.
That's right.
It's fun.
Thank you, Sean. Doug? You're on mute, Doug, if you're trying to talk to us.
Yeah, nothing from me tonight. I'm just under the weather, so thanks for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug. And then last but not least, Kim.
Not too much. The Police Advisory Board didn't have a meeting, so we'll be having one in a couple weeks. I also attended the West Side Economic Alliance meeting and saw the debate between the two Washington County Commissioners chair position. There's some important votes coming up on your ballot for Washington County that are really, really important. I know they're not exciting like big elections like president or city council, right? That's so exciting. But anyways, our elections that are going on in Washington County, they really matter. So we got commissioner, you got DA, you got auditors, you got Metro Chair. So please do your homework, vote, no matter how you vote, just vote, make sure you vote. What else? Last week, I attended the League of Oregon Cities Tax Finance and Taxation meeting, which are 5-hour meetings. Just going over what we might want to see the league advocate for in the next session. Tim was also there. He was in person. I Zoomed because I still had to work as well that same day. So I think that's it. YMCA hasn't had a Board of Managers meeting in I don't know how long, so no updates there. That's about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. I just have a couple things. As Kim mentioned, I was at the Taxation Policy Committee with the League of Oregon Cities. It sounds like it's boring, but it's incredibly important in terms of how cities fund their operations. So it's something that's near and dear to us. And it's not necessarily that we're there advocating that we need more taxes, we need to raise taxes. It's more about, in my opinion, defending the revenue streams that we do get. A lot of our revenue streams come from the state, like tobacco, alcohol, marijuana, all these different streams. And Salem has a history of poaching those funds from us. So a lot of it's about defending those revenue sources and making sure that we can run our cities and we have the revenue that we need to do it. I also had a meeting with the NLC, National League of Cities Information Technology and Communication Committees. I think I've talked about that before, but there's a lot of rulemaking going on at the federal level about how cities and states can spend a lot of the broadband money that you might be hearing about in the media that's going to be becoming available, and we're trying to influence that rulemaking to make sure that cities like Sherwood can take advantage of those programs. There's a lot of folks at the federal level, in the Senate and the House, who used to be governors or state representatives, so that sometimes they don't think about the fact that money needs to come directly to the cities too, and not necessarily always siphon through at the state level. So there's a lot of good work being done by the NLC on that. I also had a meeting of the LOC, League of Oregon Cities Broadband Policy Committee, which has a similar role, but at a state level. So we're looking at all this money the state's getting and how is that money going to be distributed out to cities like Sherwood's or carriers to expand broadband out to our rural areas and to communities that traditionally haven't been able to take advantage of it. So those are interesting conversations and meetings. And I think that's all I have, unless I'm forgetting something. I'm sorry? We'll move on. So anything else from anybody? All right, so we are going to adjourn this meeting. We have an executive session right after that. Let's give everybody about 5 or 10 minutes before we start that. And